from the depths. Steel gleams neath Zoidstar skies. Water roars, power surges, guardians of the blue in might. Engines hum, battles rage, that red news and Zoids must be tamed. Mandalorians front and center, protect our home, our fortress land. Aqua Zoids rise, fight, defend. Blue guardians with power extend. Against the red we stand as one. For Zoidstar till the fight is won. Circuitry beats, sparks ignite. Underwater battles in the night. Laser beams, crash metal screams. Strength and honor in our seams. Unified in electric thunder. Navy of the future thunder. Hearts of steel, minds of code. Aqua Zoids, our legacy bestowed. Aqua Zoids rise, fight, defend. Blue guardians with power extend. Against the red we stand as one. For Zoidstar till the fight is won. Zoids, our legacy bestowed. Aqua Zoids, rise, fight, defend. Blue guardians, lights, power extend. Against the red we stand as one. For Zoidstar till the fight is won. For Zoidstar till the fight is won. Zoidstar till the fight is won. Hyper Zoids rise, awaken from steel dreams. Blue guardians roll planet's last beams. Metal claws, glass skies ablaze in red. Tears, my fury, blood iron bled. Red mutants strike with rage and fire. Scorch the lands, they fuel the fire. Place dinosaurs roar with thunderous might. Steel slayers clash in the dead of night. Red mutants strike with rage and fire. Scorch the lands, they fuel the fire. Place dinosaurs roar with thunderous might. Steel slayers clash in the dead of night. Fire. Glory bound on battlefield. Never trust us screaming loud. Face the red sword, doing proud. Inside, alligator roars, wings unfurled. Diamonds for John, counter move the world. It's class under blood red sky. Cold metal giants, none left to defy. Life put snap in the firelight. King's roar echoes drown out the night. Blood after night. From rooftop warriors screaming. Blood red sky. Cold metal giants, none left to defy. Life put snap in the firelight. King's roar echoes drown out the night. Industrial wasteland, fight to the bone. Prophecy shattered the war zone. Brand new machine charts named in the sky. Ruling the edges, still stars defy.